Guys, welcome to the On the Line podcast presented by MotoMavericks. We got pro athlete Justin Starling here and Chris Jason, my business partner, and we're going to discuss today MotoMavericks is as an entity and give you all the insider insights about what's to come as well. Justin Starling is our 2025 and 2026 brand ambassador for MotoMavericks this year and the upcoming year. So I want to get your little take on what your feelings are and what your thoughts on this company are.
Well, when you came to me asking for advice on what you should do or how you should do things, the more I listened to you talk, it was more of something that I wanted to be involved with. And to me, I think it's cool to have support and get help without it being based off of results, because some people just don't race, right? So for me, it was something that, obviously as a racer, I'm always looking for support, looking for a discount, looking for this, looking for that. So to me, it was just something cool to hear that, you can get these things without being, result based or, this resume of this and that. You could just get some support. And to me, that was something I want to be a part of.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're here at MotoMavericks. We want to make sure that, everybody that's from, the average Joe to the average rider to even the pro athletes get, discounts. They have the ability to get the parts and the necessities to riding at discounts and all that kind of stuff. We do have Chris Jason on my left-hand side. That is my business partner. And I would love to ask you, Chris, as well, what made you decide to get on part of this? And, what was your insights on this as well?
So earlier this year, I've already known Dylan for a while, but earlier this year, on a whim, we went on a riding trip together. Had a lot of drive time, good 14 hours in the truck, pretty much consecutively between the 2 days. And he brought this idea up to me, the vision of MotoMavericks, what MotoMavericks is. And I found it personally appealing. I try to look at things from all avenues. And the way I see it is the more money you save on parts, apparel, helmet, gear, I could go on and on for years. But the more money you save, keep in your pocket, that's more track time, that's more ride time, that's more practice. It's going to fuel progression.
You're probably asking yourself right now what MotoMavericks is all about, right? MotoMavericks honestly got started from my own take on my own personal career. I wanted to become a pro athlete and stuff like that when I was young, and never had the ability to get parts and accessories for my motorcycle, and because of the amount of money it would cost to actually upkeep them, right? So that's what brought me to opening this company based around discounts and having the average rider be able to afford parts and accessories for their motorcycle without breaking the bank. And that is what MotoMavericks is here to offer you guys, is discounts on sprockets, tires, plastics, graphic kits, helmets, boots, and the list goes on the amounts of possibilities that you guys can save with discounts to all these different companies nationwide. So Justin, I want to ask you a question on, if you were growing up with a membership like this that would actually benefit the average rider, how would that treat you growing up?
Yeah, so I think growing up for me, I was in a bit of a different ballpark, right? So I have to look at things in a different way, because I never necessarily was the average rider, right? But I look at what discounts, that I've received while coming through the ranks of amateurs and stuff like that. And I know that my parents wouldn't be able to do it without those, right? I just know it's not physically possible with how much I was riding and the parts I was going through. And even with the discounts, how much it was still costing, and then you remove the discount, you're spending upwards to 100 grand a year just trying to upkeep stuff, right? Mm-hmm. That's insane if you really think about it. So for me, I know I couldn't have done it and gotten to where I have at a pro rate, pro level, without discounts. And for me, being able to provide something to the average rider, that's going to go to Dade City, maybe Glen Helen or Swan Cycle Park in Texas, wherever they are, but be able to afford to get parts to keep their bike maintained and running. That to me is the most important thing. You can't afford to do this. Everything's so expensive these days, and you just can't afford to do everything at a retail price. So if you can get, a one-stop shop, buy a membership, get in there, get involved, and obviously there's a bunch of other perks that are involved that you'll speak about, but just to be able to cut the cost of being able to buy, a chain and a sprocket, but you can only afford a sprocket before. Well, now you can get both. To me, like that's huge. That's a huge thing. So, like I said, whenever you reached out to me for advice and stuff, I knew that, when you were talking about what this was, I was like, man, I want to be involved, because this is something that I can kind of feel like I can be, in a way, is give back to the community of motocross, which has been my life since I was 4 years old. So yeah, just being able to provide a discount, to be able to obtain parts, to be able to keep riders at the track, and then that keeps tracks open on top of it, right? You can't really beat that.
Yeah, the more riders at the tracks, right?
Yeah,
keeping their bikes up and running.
It's expensive, so you need the riders at the track, and sometimes hey, I can't ride this week because I can't afford a sprocket. Well, get on MotoMavericks, get a membership. Well, you probably can then. Of
course. And thank you so much for joining MotoMavericks. And we're going to touch a little base on what actually happened to him a couple weeks ago. Speaking on what Justin Starling actually just said, I know he's going to hate me for it, but, we're not the richest people out here, right? We're trying to get by day and make a living out here in the real world. And obviously Chris Jason right here, he has a Honda and stuff like that he rides on a daily basis and stuff like that. But
try to
yeah, but he was needing a new sprocket and chain, and couldn't really find a good one that was well in that price range with budget wise. So I want you to see how this company would actually benefit you in the long run and that kind of predicament.
So from a realistic standpoint, I can speak for myself on this, as probably thousands of others of people in the moto community at a local level. More money saved is more track time, just like Justin was saying, and Dylan kind of put me on the spot with. I break a lot of stuff. I crash a lot. Pro practicer, and I'm not even good at that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to I like to break chains. I like to break sprockets, and I like to try to go through the cheapest avenues of parts. Well, you kind of get what you're paying for when it comes to moto, and when I'm referring to you get what you're paying for, it's safety, it's consistency, it's really important to actually be able to trust your motorcycle that it's not going to let out on you when you're, I don't know, say seat balancing a 110-foot jump out of a corner. Not that I'm doing that.
Prime example, just today I'm at the track and riding at Fast Tracks, local track to us here in Florida. And buddy got a flat tire, right? And I remember his dad, the first thing he said was, dang, tubes are expensive. If you can go on MotoMavericks, get a membership, get a discount to get a cheaper tube to where you can buy two, now you have a spare at the track, because that cut his day over. It was done. He couldn't ride anymore. That, to me, is where I think MotoMavericks is going to shine. And I think that that's why people should want to be involved, is the fact that they want to just go ride their motorcycles, right? Like today, it's a Sunday. I just wanted to go ride my motorcycle. I went to the local track, enjoyed it. It's nice to have spare parts when you go. That way your day's not cut short, because sometimes freak things happen. He got a flat tire. That can happen at any time unless you're running, boost or moose bibs or whatever those things are called. And, it just hit me when he said, it's going to be a minute because I got to go get a tube, and those things are expensive. Those are like $20-$25. Some people, that's a lot of money, right? I mean, to me, that's a lot of money. I don't have any spare tubes here. It's expensive. So for me, I would get the membership, get the discount, get some spare tubes. And if I can get two at the price of one, that's a win. So just little things like that, I think that that's where MotoMavericks is going to shine. And that's why people should want to be involved. It's not necessarily this thing that we're just trying to, put in front of everyone and do this, and this. It's about trying to keep people riding, right? That's all we're trying to do, is keep people on the track, keep people's bikes running, keeping them maintained, because if you can keep them maintained, they're going to last longer. So if you're not having to run until the chain breaks, and you're able to afford to get one at, say half the price, that's huge. And you may maintain it a little bit earlier. You can go through sprockets a little bit quicker. You can do all these things instead of spending X amount of dollars. You can save some money, afford a track fee, which everybody knows track fees are going up. It's getting more expensive to do this. So if we can cut the cost back to what it was back in 2002, it's a win for everyone.
You make a valid point. Even when I was racing, right, and trying to come up and go through Loretta's and all that kind of stuff, parts and tires and everything like that were very expensive. Even jumping off your little thing that you just said, having a spare tube or even a tire or even extra oil, right? Obviously, how expensive, bikes are. You have to do an oil change every 1 or 2 rides and, fix your air filters and clean them and there's all this maintenance that is entailed with doing motocross and making them all run good so that you guys can be at the track actually, doing what you love and actually sharing a passion with everybody there, right? Because everybody knows motocross is a passion. And at the end of the day, if we can save you guys, the consumer and the fans, as much money as possible so you guys can stay on the track as much as possible, that is our goal. And that's why we have Justin Starling, on board on this as an ambassador for us here at MotoMavericks, because, obviously he's not just a pro, but he also has, friends and stuff like that. And, all these different people, like he was just mentioning the guy at Fast Tracks, that could benefit from an extra spare tube or a tire or
I can
oil
benefit
change.
from it.
Yeah, and he
honestly, I can benefit from it.
Exactly. So we're, targeting not just the consumer, but even all the way up to pros as well, because everybody, in the privateer, even factory rides, or even like, the average rider that goes out to the local track and just wants to have fun for the weekend, they all want discounts. They all want the opportunity to ride and have fun. What is the number one thing? Going to a motocross to have fun. But if something happens along the lines of a spare tube breaking or popping, and that ruins your day, that is why we're here, so that you guys can have multiple things and save while you're doing it.
A lot of people don't realize, like, washing your bike, right? You just look at it like, wash it, you're done, everything's all good. But I've calculated everything down to $1 of how much it cost me to wash my bike. It's about $11.50 per bike wash, just with using the chemicals and going through those things. Now you wash your filter. I'm very fortunate to have some filter cleaners and stuff to my right here, but even that costs money, right? Everything costs money. So if you can get something at a discount to just cut it in half, cut it down even 10%, 20%, it doesn't matter. It's if you can just cut it down, it helps everything in the long run. So a lot of people don't realize that things. It's just washing your bike costs money. Doing your filter costs money. Lubing your chain, that all costs money. So if we can cut the cost down, it's a win-win for everyone.
That on to Justin Starling's point on saving money and basically allowing your bike to always have the maintenance it needs, right? We are partnering with local and nationwide dealerships so you guys can keep riding and go into these local tracks, because we're not just about discounts either. We're about supporting local tracks, supporting fans so they can love and share the passion we all do, and supporting the average rider and making sure that each average rider gets enough time to basically get on that motocross track and have the fun that they need and want to have. So Chris, Jason, I want you to, touch base on a little bit about, how this can benefit everybody else as well.
Well, I can speak from a personal standpoint. MotoMavericks would benefit me as a consumer in just the long run of, like Justin and Dylan have both said earlier, riding motocross is expensive. Doesn't matter how you look at it. Entry fees are going up. Race fees are going up. The cost of camping at events is going up. I could go on and on for days. But I have been notoriously known for running tires to the point where I have knobbies shredded off. A discount or some sort of kickback would definitely help keep me rolling. There's weekends where I haven't been able to ride due to bike problems like chains, sprockets, broken levers. I can't go run a moto without a clutch lever. We'd like to help the average Joe feel like they're a factory guy. If we can offer factory level support and help facilitate that along the way, like we've all said earlier, the more money saved in your pocket is more money you're able to spend to go ride these tracks. The more money you can travel, the more money you can race. It really keeps other avenues of your career open, and we can really help you succeed in terms of whatever you want to do. Whether you're a hobby rider that wants to go ride trails all weekend, awesome, you can have some extra tubes. Or you're a dedicated avid racer that trains 3 days a week and is trying to go to Loretta's this year. Cool. Now you can have backup bars, backup wheels, whole hub sets. The options are endless. The average guy that pulls up to the track, mismatched gear, broken helmet strap, all kinds of different things, that can all be handled through our service essentially. So if we can help you get in touch with other avenues, if we can help you stay riding, then I say we've won.
The starting MotoMavericks, was my goal to give back to each and every single rider across the United States of America and beyond, right? Obviously, we're starting here in the home state of Florida, where Justin Starling personally lives, where I personally live, and Chris Jason. We are trying to give back as much as possible as this business grows. We are so devoted and eager to earn every single ounce of business you guys bring to us and bring ride days, sweepstakes, and all the above to each and every state across the United States of America.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in and kind of getting an idea of what MotoMavericks is. October 19th will be the drop date. You can find the app in the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. And yeah, super excited to see what you guys think about it, what we bring to you guys, and yeah, get those discounts and let's stay on the track. And yeah, so let's get those discounts and let's stay on the line.